Show me.
Hello everybody, Martial Arts Film Freak here, and I love a good sequel. Sequels can sometimes be even better than the original. You have The Dark Knight, you have Godfather Part 2, you have Empire Strikes Back. And the same can be said for martial arts movies. You have Ong Bak 2, which is just a dang near masterpiece. You have Ninja 2, Shadow of a Tear, Drunken Master 2, Undisputed 3 and 4, just absolutely wonderful sequels. The movies I want to talk about today are not those. No, sometimes the sequel is nothing but a mere shadow of its former self. Anything that was learned from the previous film is out the window, and what is returned to us in the sequel is just a big plate of blah. A myriad of things could have gone wrong, a myriad of things could have been forgotten. And I want to talk about those things. I want to talk about those movies. So I have got 10 movies. This is not particularly a ranking, except for maybe number 1 is quite bad. But I've just got 10 sequels here that are just nowhere near as good as the first. The first has to be good. I'm not going to talk about a sequel to a movie that's already bad and the sequel's bad too. I'm not gonna Never Back Down 2 this thing. Never Back Down 1 is a piece of frat boy garbage, in my opinion, and the sequel is just as bad. However, if you want to talk about good sequels, Never Back Down 3, nailed it. But no, I want the first movie to be just completely amazing and the second movie to just be a total disaster, if not as good. So these are the 10, or just random 10, horrible sequels, bad sequels, 10 sequels that are just not good. Sequels to martial arts movies, I should say, because I talk about martial arts movies over here at the Martial Arts Film Freak. Number 10. This one is really here because it is not actually that bad. It's just that the first one is so damn good, and the second one did not live up to the hype. That is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Sword of Destiny. Now, the first movie is just one of the most beautiful kung fu films ever made. Acting, performance, choreography, story, all of it is just absolutely transcendent, wonderful. And the sequel's just kind of a pretty good kung fu movie. I don't hate the sequel, it's not horrible, it's just when you've done so many incredible things of an overall film in the first one, and then the second one is just like, there's some good fight scenes, Donnie Yen is here, Michelle Yeoh is back, we got some other fun characters, but if you really want the substance of the first film, it's not there. The sword is back, and everybody likes that sword, right? Yeah, there's some okay fights in it. Number 9 is a sequel to one of the greatest kung fu films ever made. Return to the 36th Chamber. Now, Return to the 36th Chamber is fine. It's a lot of similar ideas from the first one. It's still a guy trying to get into this Shaolin temple so that he can train and learn kung fu, so that he can also get revenge for something else. The training is not as good. The movie leans far more heavily into comedy than the first one ever considered, and it is just weird. The first time I watched it, and Gordon Liu is essentially being a fake monk, and he's on a wire, but in story he is on a wire and he comes down, and I'm just staring at the movie and I'm like, do they want me to see that wire? Am I supposed to see that wire? You were supposed to see the wire. But if it was going for comedy, it's just not very funny. And then all the fight scenes, they're fine. It's just it's a rehash, and it adds comedy that doesn't really work most of the time. Just watch the first 36 Chamber. One of the greatest kung fu films ever made. I would not really pay any mind to the sequel. Next up, the sequel to a modern classic, SPL Killzone. We are talking number 8. Killzone 2. Now, Killzone 2 was supposed to be wonderful, was supposed to be epic, hypeness, amazing. It had Tony Jaa. It had Wu Jing returning from the first one, but it was weird because he definitely died in the first one. His guts were just all spilled out. But he's a different character now. And then we also get Max Zhang, a little bit before Max Zhang was really as big as he is today. Max Zhang now we all recognize as, holy crap, you gotta watch that movie, Max Zhang is in it. But at this point he was the villain, and it was like, oh, that guy looks cool, but Tony Jaa, Wu Jing, and Max Zhang, that sounds incredible. And you know what? There are some good fight scenes. I really enjoy a fight scene between Wu Jing and Tony Jaa, which is in like this really small, like storage room looking kind of thing, almost in like a prison, and like just it's such a small room and it's so close quarters, and I think it works really well. There's like a prison riot in which the Raid 2 style, the camera just kind of pans and it's a one shot throughout this just craziness in a prison. Good moments. However, the rest of the movie, I don't remember any of it. It's boring. I think Tony Jaa had a kid that was maybe in a hospital, but part of me is also telling me that I made that up. The final fight could have been amazing. Tony Jaa and Wu Jing fighting Max Zhang. Now that sounds totally dopeness, but it just kind of turns into a lot of editing, a lot of cuts, and a lot of wire work, when if you really just would have let them choreograph something awesome, it would have been real good, ended on a high note for a pretty much fine movie. But then it ends with just a fight scene that I'm like, I could watch a better Wu Jing fight, I could watch a better Tony Jaa fight, and I could watch a better Max Zhang fight. I don't really want to watch this one. And that's a bummer. Number 7 is actually 2 movies. Wild card here. Number 7 is sequels to 2 movies that I've only seen the first one. I say the first one is great. A lot of people say the second one is also great. I would have never seen it. That is Best of the Best. The Best of the Best is not only a good martial arts movie, it is also an excellent sports movie. I think the Best of the Best was excellent. I haven't seen the second one. I hear it's also very good. However, the third and the fourth throw out the sports completely, and our hero is now fighting a Russian mafia and the KKK, or at least some neo-Nazis. Now, I don't remember which one of these movies that happens in. 3 may be the KKK and 4 may be the Russian mafia. I don't remember. I do remember that one of them had Ernie from Ghostbusters, so that was cool. I don't remember anything else from these movies except that being the plot. That was my introduction to Best of the Best. I had never seen the first one. I jumped in on 3 and 4, and I was like, these movies are bad. I don't want to watch the first one. Then I did watch the first one, and I was very happy I did. I would like to forget 3 and 4. Number 6 is a sequel to the sequel, which is actually a prequel, and that is Ong Bak. The first Ong Bak is a revolutionary martial arts film starring Tony Jaa, of course. The sequel, Ong Bak 2, I think is just an absolute epicness, incredible movie. I love Ong Bak 2 so much, and I was so looking forward to the third one, and it was just so nothing. The third Ong Bak picks up directly after the first one, which means we do get the second one, which means we do get a cool fight scene, because at the end of the second one, he is captured, and so then when he's imprisoned, he gets this really cool fight scene with like some chains and like a long pole staff or something like that, I think. And then it's just a whole lot of boring. I think the Crow guy, played by Dan Chu Pong, gets a good fight scene. Really good fight scene, actually. Tony Jaa meditates a lot and then also starts dancing with a girl he grew up with. That was fine. And then it's just a lot of nothing up until the end when there's a fight scene, and it's like, I mean, this is okay. I mean, you ended the second movie with maybe one of the greatest fight scenes I've ever seen, and it's so long and it's so good, and then you just, I don't know if you tried to repeat it with the third one, but it didn't work. It's fine, but when you look at the things you did in the last one, it's like, holy shit, that's good. And then you go over here and it's like, Number 5 is a sequel to an excellent Donnie Yen film, a video I did, a movie where in my video for the essential Donnie Yen films. I put it in my in one of my essential Donnie Yen films, and that is Iron Monkey. Iron Monkey is absolutely spectacular, and the sequel may just be one of the most infuriating, hilariously bad movies I've seen in some time. It has absolutely nothing to do with the first movie. Donnie Yen is all over the cover and he's barely in it. We got Billy Chow all over the cover and he's barely in it. And no, the movie is actually about 3 other people. 2 of them you're gonna hate because they're horrible people, and the other guy is like, yeah, you're fine, I guess, you're good at kung fu, and that's all we really need from you. And then the rest of it's just silly and not good, and the comedy, again, the sequel leans heavier into the comedy than the first one ever did, and it's just not very funny. And then there's one scene that had me rolling on the floor. There's a scene where these 2 bad guys are driving down the street and they're just shooting things because they're testing out these new guns. And then these 2 dudes in suits appear in the middle of the street and they stop them and they're like, hi. And all of a sudden cut to the back of them where we can see the 2 guys in the truck or the car firing at them, shooting them. And you just very easily see that the 2 people they are shooting are just mannequins, wooden dummies almost. And it's not like, oh, it's just like a frame. Like, you have to pause it to see it. No. I was barely paying attention. I looked at the screen. They were there for a good 4 or 5 seconds before they got shot. Just wooden dummies. Right there. I'll put a picture. That's right here. Those are wooden dummies. That's hilarious. But, to be fair, there is some decent kung fu. It just leans a little bit too much into the craziness for me, I think for a lot of people. At one point, Donnie Yen is fighting that guy who we don't care about but is really good at kung fu on top of a pile of logs that are suspended by a crane, and they start loosening the logs and throwing them at each other, and it doesn't work all the time. But some of the kung fu is quite good, but overall the movie is just like, you ever have a friend do something really stupid, really bad, and you just kind of want to lean over to the friend and be like, what the f*** were you doing? That's how I felt about this movie. I wanted to whisper into Yuen Wu-ping and Donnie Yen's ears and just ask, what the f*** were you doing? Next up is a sequel to possibly the only Van Damme movie that I actually like, and as I said in my review for it, go watch it, I don't like it. I actually do like it because it's not a Van Damme movie, it is a John Woo movie with Van Damme in it, and that is Hard Target. I liked Hard Target. Don't like a lot of Van Damme movies, but I like that one. You know what I didn't like? It's the exact opposite situation. I love a lot of Scott Adkins movies, and I didn't like Hard Target 2. Now, Hard Target 2, it is not the fault of Scott Adkins or some other people that this movie is so bad. The movie is just so bland. He's an MMA fighter who is put into a hard target situation. He's being hunted, the Most Dangerous Game style. And, you know, you should get some cool stuff out of that. I think his name's Tamura Morrison or something like that, the dude who played Jango Fett. You get a little cool standoff between him and Scott Adkins. As a nerd, I was like... But that's about it. Even at the end, you get a fight scene in which Scott Adkins is on a bridge and 2 people start walking from the other end of the bridge, and it's like, oh, who's this final fight gonna be? Holy Jesus Christ! It's Jija Yanin and Patrick Kazu Tang! Oh my god! This is gonna be amazing! 3 minutes later, it was over and nothing happened. Now, the movie is just bland and there's no good action sequence, and that's not to the fault of Scott Adkins or anybody. Apparently, this movie was made in 12 days. 12 days meaning everything. 12 days pretty much being pre-production, shoot it, post-production, get it out. Meaning they had no time to plan, to choreograph anything good. You got people like Scott Adkins, Jija Yanin, and Patrick Kazu, you're gonna get some good shit. And you don't give them any time to prepare. You don't give them any time to choreograph anything, to plan. And they have to come up with everything on the spot, and it's not like it's an old Hong Kong style come up with everything on the spot where you've got this crazy awesome schedule. No, you've got 12 days. You've probably only got like a week to shoot this whole movie. And, you know, you're not going to have time to improv. You're not going to have time to just come up with it on the spot. No, you're going to get absolute bland, just spew it onto the screen and hope something good comes out. Nothing good came out. Next up, the sequel to a movie that I think we all recognize is not very good, but we can all agree that we don't care. Mortal Kombat rules. Mortal Kombat Annihilation, however, not so much. Now, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, we've all talked about it, we all know the deal. It's just not good. The acting got worse, really, really bad. The green screen, for most scenes, was not finished. The fight scenes are meh. There's an animality in which Liu Kang turns into a dragon and Shao Kahn turns into a Ghidorah, and that's not good. It's just bad. I don't really want to say much else on it. It's bad. You know who's in it? Kinda. Tony Jaa. Tony Jaa stunt doubled for Robin Shao. Interesting fact. This movie's bad. It's just bad all around. It's horrible. It's one of the worst sequels I've ever seen. You may be wondering what could be worse than Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Well, I got two more for you that are just bad. We all love Bruce Lee. We all love Fist of Fury. But did you know Fist of Fury had a sequel? And that is called The New Fist of Fury. Now, The New Fist of Fury, of course, does not star Bruce Lee. Of course, Bruce Lee is dead. But also, Chen Zhen, the character from that film, also died at the end of that film. He accepts his fate, jumps into a hail of gunfire, and goes out in a blaze of glory in what is one of the greatest still shots at the end, like closing still shots in any movie. I don't care about your argument. That shot rules. But the sequel is Jackie Chan. Now, that should be amazing, but this is Jackie Chan really before he knew what he was doing, before he found that, hey, I'm Jackie Chan. No, he was still being told that he is the next Bruce Lee, so much as that's a plot point in this movie. Nora Miao, who has a fun last name, returns from the first movie. In this one, she is looking for someone to fill Bruce Lee's shoes, to fill Chen Zhen's shoes, to lead the revolution. And she finds Jackie Chan and says, I just see so much of him in you. I think you should take his place. That's literally the Hong Kong film industry, Golden Harvest really, saying, this is Bruce Lee. This is the new Bruce Lee. Literally, she says it. She doesn't say Bruce Lee. She says Chen Zhen, but Jesus. There's some okay stuff. Jackie. Jackie at one point does get a 3-section tri-staff, that eventually gets broken and is turned into like a big nunchuck. I do enjoy that part. That fight scene altogether is fine. The rest of the movie, though, is just hard to watch. And the ending, I'm going to tell you the ending here because I think it's hilarious. Of course, as I said, the end shot, the still frame at the end of Fist of Fury is, in my opinion, just one of the greatest ending frames of all time. It's so good. Bruce Lee just jumping into a blaze of glory. Pow, 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 pow. We just hear the gunshots as it still frames, and we just hear boom, 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 dead. It's wonderful. They tried to do something similar here, and it does not work. Jackie, holding like a flag or a sign or something with a bunch of other students and Nora Miao, are walking to, like, I don't know, the Japanese embassy or something, when they are just open fired upon and just and they all die. Movie over. Still frame on all their bodies. Dead. What? Now, what could be worse than an ending as bad as that? What could be worse than Mortal Kombat Annihilation? And that is, again, a sequel to just what is an absolute modern classic. One of the greatest martial arts movies of all time. One of the introductory films to Tony Jaa. The Protector. Just love The Protector so much. This time it is The Protector 2, aka Tom Yum Goong 2. Now, what did I say earlier about just taking all those wonderful lessons you learned from the first movie and just chucking them out the window and saying, F it? I've talked about this movie a lot. I've talked about it several times in my video ranking Tony Jaa films, and a video just discussing one of the weirdest moments in any movie I've ever seen, and it comes from this movie.
Oh, hi, thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
They just did everything wrong. The choreography is okay. Maurice Crump is one of the best parts of the movie. But other than that, you get bad CGI, whereas the first one is almost nothing but entirely practical effects, and it is glorious. And then the second one is like, nope, CGI this, CGI that, CGI fiery room in which he fights Patrick Kazoo and a bunch of other people, and the whole room is set on fire, but all that fire is CG. And at one point, Tony is on a rooftop, and he there's a train coming by, and so Tony wall runs over a billboard and jumps over the tracks before the train comes. But guess what? Every inch of that except for Tony was pretty much CG. It's real bad. It's just bad, man. They brought in Zhizha Yanin, made her do nothing. And then, of course, like, RZA's in it and he's fine. And then, I mean, what? How do you talk about how bad this movie is without just showing whatever the hell this is? So those are 10 horrible martial arts sequels. 10 bad martial arts movie sequels. Did I leave any out? Tell me in the comment section down below. I didn't do an honorable mentions on this just in case I ever want to come back to this topic and drop a few more horrible martial arts sequels. Because just like any other movie, any other genre, there's a lot of bad sequels out there. Tell me your favorite or least favorite martial arts movie sequel. Which martial arts movie sequel did you get absolutely hyped for, like I did The Protector 2, and then when it came out and you just said, why, God? Why? Tell me those things in the comment section down below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Head over to Facebook, where there is the Martial Arts Film Freak Facebook page, Instagram, Martial Arts Film Freak, Tristan_Glover on the Twitter, and Martial Arts Film Freak on TikTok, where the young people make videos. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.